And some women will tell you there's no other natural pain that compares to labor pains. And I might just disagree because this procedure was extremely painful. I felt like what could go wrong did go wrong. Welcome back, YouTube family. Okay, so I wanted to get comfortable for this video and really just come in and give you an update on my experience getting the IUD placed as a registered nurse, as a mom who's been through pregnancy and who's had a vaginal delivery, who's been through labor, experienced labor contractions. I didn't expect the IUD process to hurt that much. I did not expect to be in that much pain getting my IUD placed. And just in general, I didn't expect the process to go the way that it did. I'm thinking because I am a G1, P1, meaning I've had one pregnancy and I've had a vaginal delivery, that it wouldn't be very difficult getting an IUD placed. Even during labor, I felt as if I had a really high pain threshold, and which I probably still do. However, I have a new perception for pain. I have a new respect for pain. Man, us women, we endure a lot. And I'm recording this video at the time of Roe versus Wade being overturned, so it may be a little controversial. With that being said, I am pro-choice. I believe women have and should have the ability to decide what's best for them and their bodies. I decided that it was not the best time for me to be pregnant. So with that being said, I also decided to get an IUD placed. I did not anticipate that it would be this painful, that the procedure would be this complicated, being that I am a G1, P1. And what does that mean? That means I've been pregnant and delivered a baby. I've delivered vaginally. I've went through several hours, days of labor, and enduring that labor pain, I've experienced what it was like to have contractions, dilation, cervical changes, all the nooks and crannies of delivering a baby. And some women will tell you there's no other natural pain that compares to labor pains. And I might just disagree because this procedure was extremely painful. I felt like what could go wrong did go wrong during the procedure. Now there's risks, risk of uterine perforation and infection and all sorts of things that can go wrong when getting an IUD placed, right? Even though it was almost 11 years ago that I delivered my daughter, I'm assuming that it wouldn't be very difficult to insert inside the cervix. However, on this day of the exam, first off, let me backtrack because when I initially went into this appointment, I called ahead of time and I asked, so is this appointment going to be an IUD placement or am I just coming in for a consultation, right? The nurse on the other line goes, nope, you're scheduled just for a consultation. You're going to come in and discuss your options, discuss what type of IUD you want. With that being said, I had my notes ready, what I was going to ask the provider. I was weighing the pros versus the cons. I got to the appointment that day and was still undecided. Up until I got into the room, I still wasn't sure which option I was going to choose. I thought I'd be able to talk it out with my provider. Right. So They collected a urine sample, okay, in the room, test negative. I'm putting two and two together, like, why do I need to take this test if this is just a consultation? Anyway, ended up being the opposite of that. The doctor came into the room and he basically was like, you're here for an IUD placement today, right? And I'm like, I thought it was a consultation. He goes, oh, so you're not ready. You don't want it. And I was like, wait, yes, I do. Because getting an appointment for an IUD placement, it already was a long wait. So I'm like, no, I'm already here, but I don't know which IUD method I want to choose. I'm just full of anxiety at this point because I'm feeling like I'm not prepared for this procedure. I'm not mentally prepared. I was weighing the pros and cons of both IUDs, and my main two concerns were bleeding, extra bleeding, and the side effects of the hormones. So I know with the copper IUD, it's no hormones, it's the copper that prevents the pregnancy, but there's a risk for, well, not a risk. Many women complain of increased bleeding and cramping. And I had a beautiful period. I mean, 5 days, every 25, 26 day periods, and only bled for 5 days, barely, and every month on the dot. I was on a set schedule with my cycle and very consistent, no cramps. Only reason I knew most times that I was starting my cycle is because I was tracking my cycle using different period apps. So I wouldn't feel cramping or pain until like the day of or the next day after I started bleeding. So that was that, the risk of no longer having this perfect, beautiful menstrual cycle. Comparing the hormonal IUD, I was more concerned about having these different mood swings and being moody and having acne, and I don't know. I was just really concerned about the hormonal effects of birth control. So with that being said, I chose the hormonal. I chose the Mirena IUD. I actually have these test kits or training kits because I am certified to place these devices. I believe they all look similar. I believe that's the Kyleena and the Mirena. And then the Paragard. I believe that's the one right here that I was holding earlier. I was undecided between the Mirena and the Paragard. And really it's just two different mechanisms or two different systems when it comes to insertion. But really the tips, the little T-shaped device, is pretty much the same size. So when they're being inserted, it's not so much the different brands that you feel. In fact, you don't really know the difference when they're being inserted. It's just the way that they act on the body and how your body reacts to those two devices. I chose to go with the Mirena because I did not want excess bleeding, long periods, heavy periods, and cramps. I wanted to do away with those things. Let me take the risk of having these hormonal side effects versus the more guaranteed risk of excess heavy bleeding, heavy periods, and cramping. Okay, so fast forward to the procedure. I got up in the stirrups on the procedure table, and the doctor, he went in, and I asked him before he went in, I said, are you gonna have to use the tenaculum? I'll show you what it looks like right here. So he goes, no, we shouldn't have to. I rarely have to use that. And I was like, okay. So I'm like, there's no way I should have issues with this IUD. I've had a child vaginally. Let's do this. So I'm laying in the chair. And the first thing that he says is, your cervix keeps running. So he goes, can you scoot down a little bit? I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Let me just, tilt my hips a little bit. Maybe that'll help him get to the cervix. So he was like, I can't get your cervix to be still. It's running. And I'm like, oh, shit. That means he's going to have to use that little tool, the tenaculum. So he goes in and grabs my cervix with the tenaculum. So the whole time I'm on the table in tears, just about. I'm not crying, but inside I'm like, okay, you're already here, just breathe, just breathe. And the whole time I'm like taking really deep, short breaths. And he's like, you okay? You need me to stop? And I'm like, no, just hurry up. I'm just like, no, okay, I'm good. I'm good. The whole time I'm like, what is this? Why does this hurt so bad? I'm cramping. It's like really intense cramps is what it feels like. Yeah, really extreme period cramps is the way I can explain it. So he goes and he's like, all right, I'm going to try. And so he's got my cervix with this sharp metal tool that has teeth on it. I'm sorry if I'm scaring y'all, but it was painful. Let me just keep it 100. He's holding my cervix with the tenaculum and he's like prodding away. He's like, it's going to feel some cramping. So he's like, all right, I'm going to insert it now. So he tries to insert it. He can't get it in. So he's like, I can't get it in. I'm sorry. And he goes, can you grab me the dilator? So what I'm assuming is he had to go in and manually dilate my cervix using different size tools. So because my cervix was so close tight, he was not able to advance this tool in. So let me show you. Woo. It starts off like this. And once you get there in the uterus, it opens up like that. So he could not get this in my cervix. It was closed too tight. So what he did was he went and got a tool to manually, another metal tool, to manually go in and dilate my cervix, basically force it open. So that was extremely painful. I'm thinking with the procedure, he'd be in and out 30 to 40 seconds tops. I can withstand this amount of pain for a short period of time. It's very painful, but what I was thinking is it's painful, but it will soon be over. So don't let me scare you off too much. It's pain that seems unbearable in the moment, in the act, during the procedure, it's unbearable. But once it's done, it's like, okay, that's done. However, in my situation, it was unbearable for a long as 2 minutes. It might have been 3 or 4. It felt like forever. So I was in an extraordinary amount of pain for a prolonged period. I sound dramatic, but it was traumatic. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I went in there not being mentally prepared and I went alone. I just felt so, I felt really alone in that procedure because I felt like I didn't have anyone to hold me and console me that I can cry with. I'm like, or I have a strong threshold for pain. But I I was in there losing it. Had to come back out, get a whole new instrument or a whole new IUD, had to open up another pack and try it again. And eventually he was able to go in and place the IUD. I tell you, once he said it's in, it was a huge relief, but I was still in pain. It was like, okay, I'm in, but it still hurts. So it lingered for a while, and then he eventually, pulled all the tools out, cleaned me up. I didn't have a lot of residual bleeding, but it was just very uncomfortable. When I did get down from the chair, I was more afraid that I would feel pain, like in the vaginal area, and I'm not sure why. I just didn't know what to expect. I was afraid that I would feel vaginal pain, but again, it was cramping. And for someone who don't get cramps, I don't have period cramps, I don't experience that each month. Again, I had more appreciation and more empathy for people who have chronic period pains, who have chronic menorrhagia, is what it's called. And I was okay to walk back to my car, but it was a long walk back to my car. A lonely walk, which was weird because I didn't schedule for anyone to go with me. I didn't think I needed someone there to hold my hand, but I wish I had. I wish I took someone. I wish I took my boyfriend at the time with me to have the procedure, because again, that walk to the car felt lonely, because it was like, these are the things we have to go through as a woman to ensure that we have proper birth control, to make sure we're not having unplanned pregnancies, to make sure, we are waiting for situations to have the ideal situation to raise a kid. It's just all of these thoughts was going through my head. It was like, men don't have to experience this. Men don't have to endure this pain, having to open up your legs and for 4 minutes experience something very, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it. Just to experience something so just painful, like it shouldn't have. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Part of me wants to say barbaric, but it's not that bad. It's bad enough that you have to go in and go through all of these procedures, have all of these sterile instruments and draped, just, there's other options, right? I'm not knocking IUD whatsoever. There's other options. However, I feel like women, as a woman, we have a lot of pressure to make sure we're doing our part to protect ourselves and to, again, prevent unwanted and unplanned pregnancies, and trying to wait for the ideal financial time, trying to wait for the ideal time where you feel you can afford to give your child the things in life that they need and deserve. And, other women choose the IUD for other reasons, but for preventing pregnancy as a very reliable contraceptive option, it's not the easiest option. It's worth it. It's very effective, which I will get into in my next video. I will make an update on what I feel about the IUD. Like I said, it's been 4 months since I've had it in place. I've got an idea of what I like and don't like about it, and I'll share that in my next video. But yeah, it was just a long walk to the car, just me wishing I had someone there that could empathize with my pain and my frustration and my angst, and someone that can relate in that situation, someone to drive me home so I can just sit in the ball and process what the hell just happened to me, because I was not able to process. I had no time to prepare. Like I said, it was, okay, we're doing this. Yeah, we're doing, ouch. Let's get this over with. Can you hurry up? It went from 0 to 100 real quick, and it lasted long enough. So that was my experience, you guys, on the IUD placement. If you have any questions for me on which brand you recommend, or which IUD you think would be best for you in your situation, write me down in the comments. I'll try and respond to everyone that I can. I did make a video on the pros and cons of an IUD and the types of IUDs, and I'll list them up here somewhere in the description. Maybe I'll link the video for you all to watch, and I plan to come back and do a part 2 and let you guys know if I like or don't like the IUD, the Mirena, and if I recommend that you get a Mirena IUD. Until the next one. Bye, y'all.